Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par. Let's get to it. Hello, my golf friend, and welcome back to Above Par. This is Kathy. It's nice to have you back. And I am actually a little behind on my podcast. So I'm recording this the day before it gets released, which means Elsa is over top of me or coming in. So I'm going to try and get this out before some big bands and winds start coming through. But right now it just has a steady rain. I looked, there's no window for me not to talk and record this podcast without rain. So if you hear some background noise, yes, there is a tropical storm coming in the next few hours over me in Southwest Florida. So anyway, so today I wanted to talk to you about how to be comfortable in golf, or how to be more comfortable in golf, or how to be not uncomfortable about that. Because what happens is so many times we, as humans, don't like to go through and experience a lot of discomfort. And I run into this a lot with golf because I think golf can be really uncomfortable. When we're changing our thoughts and the way we think around the game of golf, when we want to grow, we're going to be very uncomfortable. And our tolerance for discomfort is what holds us back, not only in golf, but in the rest of our life. So Brooke Castillo said that discomfort is the currency to your dreams. And when I first heard this, I was like, wait, what? Like, why do I want to be uncomfortable? Why would I ever want to be uncomfortable? My point is I want to get to my goal so that I'm comfortable and I'm happy, right? And I'm successful and I'm doing all the things that I want to do. Why would I want to be uncomfortable or have discomfort? And it's our lack of tolerance for going and experience that discomfort that keeps us stuck and right where we are. Because for us to get to that next level, things have to change. We have to be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable. And we want to understand that by experiencing discomfort doesn't mean that something's wrong. And I think that's where we get stuck. The minute we get into a situation where it's not easy or it's not comfortable, I'm going to try and resist having to say that word like 400 times over this podcast, but where we want to just have things be easy for us, then we're not pushing ourselves to that next level. And I want to talk about 3 different ways in golf that you want to be willing to be uncomfortable for you to take yourself to that next level, and find the ways that you're, I guess, intolerant of it, where you're just like, yeah, something's gone wrong if I have to experience new and uncomfortable things for me to get to where I want to be. One of the main areas where people aren't very willing to experience a lot of discomfort is in their golf swing and changing their golf swing or learning new things. I remember when I was teaching a lot, 2 of them came out to play golf. And the one lady was like, yes, you can teach me and I'm willing for you to teach me, but you can't touch my grip. You can't change my grip. And I would say, okay, that's fine if you're like a really good golfer. But then when I asked where her handicap was, it was like a 38. And the reason that she was a 38 is because she was not willing to change her grip. I said, why won't you change your grip? She goes, people have tried. It's just too uncomfortable. I'm not willing to do it. Right. So to me, in my brain, in my way, it's like, it's such a simple change. You're uncomfortable for a little bit. I tell people, give it 10 balls, give it 20 balls. But if it's worth you changing for you to get better, then why wouldn't you do it? Just because it's just your hands on the club. It's a little discomfort. She was so unwilling to experience any discomfort in the change in her grip that was the reason her grip was a mangled mess. Okay, just let's say it. It was almost, it was not, I don't even know how she found the golf ball. It was what was holding her back. And her unwillingness to change her grip was going to keep her stuck at a 38 handicap, which then I could argue that her reason to change wasn't strong enough. Like she wasn't willing. Maybe she didn't have goals of being a 30 handicap or a 25 handicap, right? She didn't have big enough, strong enough reasons that she wanted to get to that handicap. So she was just content right there, right? Which is fine, totally fine. But you got to just be honest with yourself. Either you want to change and you want to grow and you want to take your game to the next level, or you don't. And if you want to take your game to the next level, how uncomfortable are you willing to be? And are you making being uncomfortable wrong? So as you're working on making your swing changes or making changes in your game so that you can have a more consistent and predictable ball flight, so that you can keep your ball in play more, maybe that you can hit your ball a little bit further, that you're more consistent in the short game area, that you're making more putts, you've got to be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable, because if you're not, you're going to keep doing the same thing that you're doing right now. And the same thing that you're doing right now isn't working the way that you want it to work. Right. So that means making some swing adjustments that are uncomfortable. That might mean practicing more than you're comfortable. That's easy. Practicing harder, longer, what we're trying different things, doing more drills. Right. You got to be willing to go through that work so that you can see those results that you want in your golf swing. You got to be willing to be a little uncomfortable. So that's the first one. The second one is where people get stuck with being comfortable is in your thoughts. Right. So we have thoughts that we like and we want to keep them because we believe them. But I want you to understand and make sure that you know that thoughts are optional. They are not facts. But when we believe them enough times, they become facts in our brain. They become beliefs and we think they're non-negotiable. And we like our thoughts often, or we believe them. We don't always like them, but we definitely believe them. And when we're not willing to look at them and ask ourselves if they're true, and if they are producing the results that we want in our life, then we get stuck because we're not willing to change them. And the more that we think a thought over and over again, it becomes very comfortable. For me, one of the thoughts that I had, which I share with you, is my thoughts about putting. Right? I had thought that I was always going to struggle with my putting. Right? It was a very comfortable thought for me because I believed it. I thought it so many times over and over again, but I never stopped to question it. And because I never stopped to question it, I kept producing that result that I was always going to struggle with my putting. Right? That's what really got me into this whole line of coaching that I love helping people with, because I want to show them those thoughts that are keeping them stuck. Mine were so obvious. I had them for decades, but I never questioned them. It was comfortable. Now, for me to change that thought, so once we notice a thought that's not working for us, for me to change that thought is uncomfortable. It's like dug into your brain a little bit. It's got its little claws in there and it doesn't want to let go. It's in there because I just repeated it so many times in my head, and our brains like to create ease, right? So it's like, oh, thank you. You've thought this enough times. I know where to put this. I'm going to put this in the category of things that are difficult to change, right? Kind of like you just driving to work or to Dunkin' Donuts or to school or wherever you're going. You don't have to think about it, right? We did it enough times. Our brain's like, oh, thank you. I got this, right? I'm just going to stick this over into automatic pilot. Right? You don't think about turning a blinker on when you're making a turn, just as on autopilot. That's what happens when our thoughts, right? When we dig into them and we want to believe them, and we love to be right, by the way, right? So we want our thoughts to be right. But when we notice that it's not serving us, or if it's not working for us and we need to shift it, we've got to be willing to be uncomfortable to change that thought. This is where your brain is going to argue with you. It's going to argue hard for you to keep your thoughts. And you've got to be willing to fight for that new version that you want to think so that you can get the results that you want to get. So for me, it was putting. For you, it might be something else. You might have a thought that I'm never going to be a single digit handicap, and you believe it. You think it's a fact, right? You're going to hang on to that thought, or win a tournament. Right. You might think, yeah, it's things are too hard for me. I don't hit it far enough. That's another one that a lot of people have. Right? They dig into, they think it's a fact that I need to hit it a certain distance for me to create the results that I want, or I'll never be consistent enough off the tee box for me to be able to keep my ball in play so that I can score the way that I want to score. And so for you to think a new thought, your brain's going to argue with you, because what you want to think or what you want to shift to is the thought that it's totally possible I can win and not have the distance of other people. It's totally possible I can win and not hit a lot of fairways. Right. And your brain's going to argue with you, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And what's going to happen is you're going to jump back and revert back to that old thought because it's easy. Your brain, no, we're over here. This is where things are very familiar. Right? You can apply this to any area of your life. And when you're trying to shift a thought to a version of yourself that you want to be in, like, who do you want to be? And what does that person need to think? Is it what you're thinking now? Probably not, because if it's what you were thinking now, you'd already be there. But if I want to go over here and be this version of myself, whether it's in golf or anywhere else in your life, what do I need to think? And for me to think it, remember, a thought's optional. You can totally think it. You can think whatever the heck you want. But for me to think it, I'm going to be a little uncomfortable because I have this thought that's dug into my brain that my brain believes is true. And I want to believe this other one. And what happens is people quit. They give up on that thought. I did this a lot, right? They give up on that thought because it's uncomfortable. Right? You got to be willing, if you want to create a new version of yourself, the person who goes out there and plays and wins and qualifies and does all the things, you want to create that thought of yourself, that person who's doing that. And don't give up on it. Keep thinking it, keep deciding to think it. Don't give in to your brain, that primitive part of your brain that's going to tell you, no, this is much easier over here. You believe this one harder and stronger and more. Yes, because you just rehearsed it more. That's it. Right? Decide to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to be uncomfortable to think this thought over and over again. And I'm willing to do it as many times as I need to do it until I start believing it too. Right? Until I say it so many times to myself that it becomes a belief and it's just a stronger belief than my old belief. And that old belief just starts to fade away. So I'm going to give you an example that's not golf that I had. I had so many thoughts that I thought were totally true about social media. I'm really working on creating new thoughts that I love social media and it's a great place for me to be for my business and so that I can reach more people and I can help them because that's really what I want to do. But for me, the thoughts that I had about social media were so not helpful. There were a lot of negative thoughts and I thought they were very true. I have to shift them. I constantly work every day to shift my thoughts on social media. I'm posting on social media, how helpful it is for me and useful it is for me. I went in and posted totally against my own will when it came to social media. I'm going to get to the point where I love to post things on social media because I know that I'm going to be able to reach more people. And when I can reach more people, I'm going to be able to help them manage their minds. Not so much that they play better golf, but just that they're more happy and confident with themselves. That's really what I want. Whether they play amazing golf or not amazing golf is not really the ultimate goal as far as I'm concerned. I want them to take back control of their brains so they can create whatever they want in their life. I just communicate and connect with them through golf. Right. But I know that my thoughts about social media were preventing me from reaching more people. So I work on it every day. Right. It got glued into my head a lot hard that I just wasn't a fan of social media. I just thought it was a waste of my time. I'm working to find people there. I didn't want to show up in the ways that I felt like I needed to show up to reach people. I had to shift all those thoughts and I argue with myself every day on it. So even whether it's a golf thought or it's a non-golf, off the golf course thought, our brains are going to argue with us. But I know that the result that I want is not going to come from me having negative thoughts about social media. So use this, be aware of this in every single area of your life. It is not just golf related on how we dig into those thoughts. And we got to be willing to be uncomfortable, to have the thoughts that we need to be the version of ourselves of where we want to go and where our goals are. So the third one is discomfort as far as your emotions go. So now your swing can be changing your swing. The first one can be a discomfort as far as a feeling or a sensation in your body. It's uncomfortable to make swing changes, right? It's uncomfortable physically. Your grip feels physically different. And then we're not willing to experience that. Discomfort, though, is for the most part an emotion, right? Especially when the thoughts are coming up. We have a discomfort in those thoughts. We can't physically feel us changing thoughts, right? So it's not a physical sensation. It's just that emotional sensation, right? Emotions show up in our body as vibrations. So we're feeling this discomfort. We're like, well, I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel the emotion of being uncomfortable because it's a negative emotion for most of us. And we feel like we're just entitled a little bit to feel good all the time, right? As a society. And this gets us into trouble, right? We have so much stimulation on different things that give us dopamine hits throughout the course of the day. We like everything fast, easy, quick, available, right? That's the way society is right now with we want to watch things on TV, right? 24/7, anything you want. Get all the dopamine hits you want, right? Bury yourself in avoiding emotions by watching TV, food, phones, drink, drugs, right? Anything, shopping, right? We can shop, get those dopamine hits from shopping on Amazon nonstop. Right. So we get a little bored, we're uncomfortable, we go to those things and we get relief. We get a dopamine hit. right? We're a little stressed out. We go to those things and get a dopamine hit. We're not willing to experience boredom and sit in boredom and just let ourselves be bored. We're not willing to experience feeling pressure, right? And sitting in it because we're just so not used to it. Why would we be used to it? We can get all this different stimulation, right? That our brains really weren't designed for this much stimulation, right? We get these big, huge, and then what happens is we need more and more and more of it. That's why being uncomfortable is so hard. We're like, well, wait, I don't need to be uncomfortable. I just have to need to go into my family room. I got everything there. I got a little blanket, I got popcorn, I got the TV, I put my phone on my lap. You can watch this with teenagers all the time, right? They have that awkward silence or they're uncomfortable, right to their phone for the distraction instead of sitting through that discomfort. Now they feel a little bit better. Why people overeat, overdrink, do all the things, right? It's because we're not willing to experience all those negative emotions. Discomfort is a negative emotion in the sense that we just don't like it. It's not a preferred emotion. But what if you could practice it enough that know that being uncomfortable is that currency to your goals? That the more I'm willing to experience this and I build this muscle of being able to experience, I know I'm going to be able to get to the other side of where I want to be. And guess what happens once you're there? You get to experience it all over again. If you want to keep growing, if you want to keep going, if you want to go to the best, be a better version of yourself, or you can settle in and just stay there. But as humans, we're designed to keep growing. We're designed to keep evolving and becoming a better version of ourselves. That's kind of our natural tendency. But we fight ourselves when we're thinking that because things are uncomfortable, that something's gone wrong. But I'm telling you, if you pick a goal that you want to achieve, whether it's in golf or anything, be willing to be uncomfortable and know that nothing's gone wrong. Nothing's going to happen. You're just a little uncomfortable. I personally think the hardest ones are thoughts. I call it mental constipation. I'm like, my brain literally is fighting itself, right? That to me, I know I'm on the edge of having a brand new thought where I'm going to go to a whole new version of myself when I can get through that. And I'm willing to do it, but it's like a little bit of a headache. I think to me, that's the hardest one, is that mental fight in yourself to fight for a new thought that I want to believe because it's available. So that's it. Those are the 3 areas that I want you to focus on you and your golf game and off the golf course, right? Are you not willing to be uncomfortable in making changes in your swing or in practicing or putting down clubs or doing drills? Are you not willing to be uncomfortable there to get to that next version of yourself that you need to be, and thinking new thoughts? Thinking the thoughts of the person that you want to step into. What does that person think? And can I start thinking that now? Can I work on thinking that now? Because the sooner you start thinking it now, the more you're going to step into that person for sure. Because the thoughts that you're thinking right now are keeping you right where you are. And then being uncomfortable with emotions, negative emotions, emotions that we don't always have to live on the positive end of the spectrum of emotions. And how do we go and avoid a lot of them just so that we don't have to be uncomfortable? And when we do that, how we limit our own growth. All right, my friends, I hope you found that helpful. I want you to step into the better version of yourself on and off the golf course and go out there and be totally uncomfortable. All right, I'll talk to you next week. Hey, so if you like this podcast, you can talk to me live. I would love to hear about your golf game, different ways that you are uncomfortable and growing into the next level and version of yourself. And you can find that link in the description below, or you can go to kathyhartwood.com. Work with me. I hope to talk to you. Bye.